Hello, my MFA 608 students, and welcome to Module 2. Yay! It's fantastic. So let's go ahead and get to it. So you will not see the facilitation notes. That's for me. Let's get right to the learning objectives. What are we going to do in this module? Well, we are going to kind of get started with understanding how to critique other people's works. We're going to do an activity together as a class that will help us figure out some good practices, best practices, and kind of evaluate that. So that's kind of what we're doing for this module. Yep, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, as module overview, I'm going to let you read through this. I'm going to spend just a minute on this concept down here. There is this concept of sensitivity readers, okay? And I've taught this class a few times, and there's been a lot of discussion among some students who are concerned about the sensitivity readers, what that means. And generally, when we have someone read our manuscript, sometimes they can be paying attention to, when we are writing something that may be inappropriate. Now, let's say what's inappropriate, what's not inappropriate. I would say cliches are one-dimensional characters that really are racially and culturally insensitive, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that we can't write characters or have situations that are going to be uncomfortable for some people or maybe offensive to some people or anything like that. There's a lot of really good literature out there that the whole reason we can understand it is because it does dig into some very uncomfortable things. But just because we are going to write something that may be uncomfortable for somebody else doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. We just need to make sure that if it's uncomfortable, it's not because it is a one-dimensional character or a cliche. So hopefully I haven't beat that to death. All right, so something to think about as we move on. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the next thing here, module at a glance. So in this module, we're going to do an activity. There's two parts to it. Basically, it's kind of critiquing, and then we're going to do we're going to kind of create some rules and then test them out. We're going to take them for a drive, as it were. All right, let's kind of get to that. But first, some readings and resources. Again, as I've said before, I cannot track whether you've actually done these or not and read these. That's really up to you, and it's really your investment in yourself. These are excellent sources. I read through them, and they're just learning stuff that's good for you. Okay, and they will help you kind of with the subject matter in this class. Really, again, if you approach this class of doing the bare minimum just to get by and check off a box, it's up to you. But I would particularly say, this is the time to spend and invest it in yourself to get more information. All right, enough about that. All right, before you get started, again, every module I will post an additional lesson. It'll be found in the announcement sections. For this week, it is about the importance of revision. That's a fun little video. It's not very long. It's an activity I kind of do with some of my classes, and it really helps generate that point. So look for that in the announcements. Okay, now let's go ahead and get to the assignment. This is actually a discussion board, but it's a little different, okay? Before we get any further, so there has been a change as of beginning kind of this module, which is going from October to January of 2019 to 2020. If you post a video as far as any kind of response, you have to include a transcription of that video. And I will be doing that using a tool called Otter, OTTER.ai. You can use the same thing if you so desire, and if you want more information, just let me know. You can email me. I would recommend, you are not required, so I would recommend to just do your posts in text. You're not required to do videos, even though some of these assignments still say videos, which we'll talk about. All right, so module 2, discussion activity. So there's two parts to this. So if you click on this, boom, it brings up this assignment right here. So there's two parts. So basically the scenario is that someone's giving you some work and you're going to evaluate it, and you're going to give them some feedback. So what we're going to do is, as a group, we're going to come up with some sets of rules for critiques, okay? And we need to do this by Thursday because we're going to use those rules to actually do a critique. Now, please, the goal is to make sure that we don't duplicate rules, so the early bird gets the worm. So let's say I post one of the rules is the Oxford comma, we have to use it. Okay, don't use that as a rule, but I'm just giving an example. And if you're like, oh, that was mine, I want to use that one, well, then come up with something else. All right, feel free to discuss and recommend edits or clarification on other rules, okay, if you're unclear about those. Then the second part is that we are going to then use these rules which we've created to analyze a piece and so we can give some feedback to this. And then it says, in your video post, you see that right there, in your video post. Again, they haven't changed this assignment. You do not have to do a video post. And if you do a video post, you have to transcribe it. And that's a lot of work. You may as well just go ahead and type it out. Now, I will give you video feedback on your assignments, but I transcribe it using that other thing just because I want you to hear my voice inflection. Yeah, it's a thing. Okay. So how do you get graded on this assignment? I'm going to show you how to get graded, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a rule. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that when I go to grade this, I'm like, did you create a rule and post it? And again, I'll show you where to post it in just a second. And then you're going to read this assignment, which I'll show you how to do that in a second. Did you give feedback? You explain some common problems with the work. And then basically, as you went through and critiqued that feedback using the rules which we established, were there some rules that were like, gosh, you know what, I really wanted to critique it using this, and we didn't really have a rule for that, all right? So are there some rules that we need a clarification that, that warrant edits or changes to the work? Okay, so this is what I'm going to be looking for. Did you post a rule? Great. Did you give feedback? And did you note some common problems? Great. Did you note, is there any, talk about the rules that we did? Hey, these rules were actually good. I was able to do everything I needed to. Or actually, I would like to, suggest that we change this rule or whatever. Okay, but that's what I'm looking for. But how do we do this? How do we do this? So there are 2 prompts. Now, normally when you do a discussion, you will start a new thread. But do not start a new thread. Nope, not for this one. And if you see prompt 2 up front, make sure you sort by oldest thread. So you're going to start with prompt 1. This is where you're going to be posting your rule for critiquing. For this assignment, please do not create a new thread for your entry. Okay, you're going to reply to this one. Okay, you're not going to create a new entry. You're not going to. So if we go back, see if it says start a new thread. Don't do that one. You're going to click on here, and then you're going to reply to the thread, and you're going to reply with your rule. And then you can ask questions and reply to other people's threads and stuff. Again, this needs to be done before Thursday night because we're going to need that for the assignment. Okay? All right, so that's where you do that part. And then the next step, which is actually then the prompt. Now, for this one, you're going to read a little story. It's maybe about 3 pages long or so, and then you're going to read, based on this, what is the critique based on the rules that we've come up with? What feedback would you give the writer? What are some common problems of the work? Again, that stuff that's on the rubric. And do we need to change any of the rules? So these are the things that are on the rubric. Okay. Be supportive, and stuff like this. And again, you're going to reply to the thread. Where is the stuff I'm supposed to critique? Okay. So you can access it by clicking on the assignment right here, and it will download the Word document, or I posted it here as well. So it's the same thing, same document in 2 different places, and it looks like, see if I can grab the right one here. There we go. Okay. And this is the thing. This is the story. It's just a little short story. 1, 2, 3, 3.5 pages. Okay, so you read through this, and then you're going to give feedback. So using the rules as we came up with, use those to do whatever. Some overall problems with the work. You can kind of give some stuff like that, and then say, okay, well, based on the rules, was there stuff that I wanted to talk about that I think we didn't really clarify that we should be able to talk about? And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then you would reply to this thread with your feedback. Okay, so as long as you're just clear, and again, usually what I'm looking for is if you state something, then you follow it up with an example. So if you say, what feedback do you offer to the writer? It was really good. Okay, well, no. Okay, it was really good, but why? Okay, so what were some of the problems? I had a problem with the way you wrote. Give me a specific. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's it for the discussion. And then last but not least for Module 2 is remember that we have these class resources, okay, and that was introduced last module. That's found if you go to course menu and you go to discussions and you go all the way to the bottom, you will see the class resources. This is where you post it up. You need to post 5 sources over the course of this class. All right, and do it.